Hello, and welcome to New Mexico Rising. My name is Mandy, and here on this show, every week, we interview some awesome people from around the country to bring you lifestyle tips, tricks, and more. And this week, we have this.
You know, the character Millie, which is played by Sydney Sweeney, to come into this world that just on the outside looks like the perfect situation.
All that and more on New Mexico Rising.
Hot flashes are often joked about, but for many women, they can be overwhelming. Menopause symptoms can affect sleep, mood, and everyday routines. Joining us today are Dr. Diana Bitner, Chief Medical Officer of True Women's Health, and Wendee Lee Curtis, who's sharing her personal story. Welcome, you two.
Thank you for having us and talking about menopause.
For sure. Thanks for having us.
Wendee, what has your experience been with hot flashes during menopause?
Well, you know, every woman has a different experience with hot flashes. I have what you would call moderate to severe flashes, and they can come on suddenly. When they are severe, they can really impact me because I never know when or where or how it's going to happen. I could be at work, I could be at home, I could be hanging out with friends. It is a life disruption, to say the least.
And Dr. Bitner, how can women tell if their hot flashes are moderate or severe?
So a moderate hot flash generally starts in the chest. It's a sense of warmth that can just envelop a woman. And those moderate symptoms are distracting, maybe not with a lot of sweating, but a severe symptom is very distracting. It can just stop a woman in her tracks with sweating, like when Wendee was talking, when you used to be on camera, like it can just be very visible to the naked eye. It can really, again, stop a woman in her tracks.
What is Lynquet and what did the clinical trials show about it?
Sure. So Lynquet is a prescription, non-hormonal, FDA-approved treatment that's backed up by the OASIS clinical trial program. So these were phase 3 clinical trials used to look at the efficacy and the safety of Lynquet.
And what should women know about the safety of Lynquet?
So Lynquet was shown to have a very favorable safety profile, but there definitely are things women should know. So for example, women who are pregnant should not take Lynquet. It can cause nervous system side effects, such as women who have a history of seizures are more likely to have a seizure. It can cause fatigue and headache. Those were the most common and improved over time. And also things like rash, stomachache, nausea. We definitely recommend that people refer to the product information at lynquet.com.
And Wendee, what would you say to someone who's struggling with these symptoms right now?
Well, I am not on Lynquet, but I think the thing I would say is do not be afraid to be absolutely relentless in seeking care. Don't be afraid to describe your symptoms and discuss options with your care providers. Know that it may take some time to figure out exactly what works for you, but you are worth it. You're worth that effort. So please just keep going, keep seeking relief until you get it, because it is out there.
And where can viewers go to learn more?
So definitely at the website, lynquet.com. That's LYNKUET.com. And certainly talk to their healthcare provider to see if it's right for them.
Wendee, Dr. Bitner, thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thanks for talking about menopause.
Appreciate you having us. Thank you.
As artificial intelligence reshapes the economy, states are racing to capture the investment and job opportunities it creates. A new report shows governors who move quickly could benefit the most. Joining us are Dr. Michael Mandel, Chief Economist at the Progressive Policy Institute, and former Energy Secretary and former Michigan Governor, Jennifer Granholm. Welcome to you both.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Mandel, what does the current wave of AI investment look like, and how could it affect states like New Mexico?
States like New Mexico are potential targets for sort of data centers, which bring jobs, bring tax revenues, and bring growth for the future, because AI is about fueling transformation about industries like agriculture, manufacturing, construction, mining, and healthcare. And so when you get it, when you are part of the AI boom, you not only get the immediate jobs, but you get the future growth as well.
And your report outlines the governor's AI innovation toolbox. What are the key ideas behind it?
Well, when I put together this report, I found 5 tools that were important for governors looking forward. One was tax incentives for data centers. One was the state government should work together with local universities to sort of promote innovation in AI. The state should work to sort of train workers in AI-related skills. These governors can sort of lead in transforming the energy grid to sort of move into the future. And states should set up extension programs to sort of help small businesses learn how to use AI. That's how we can make sure the benefits get widely spread.
And Secretary Granholm, from your perspective as former governor, what should leaders be thinking about as AI continues to grow?
You know, your governor is doing a great job in leaning in on AI, but I understand, there's pushback in local communities that might be concerned, for example, that this big power user of a data center coming in might cause my electricity rates to go up, for example, in an era when we're talking about affordability. So a state needs to do three things. One is for every new data center that comes in, require that data center bring its own power, bring its own generation, its own capacity to power that data center. Number two, make sure that it pays fairly for the grid upgrades necessary to connect the data center to the transmission. And number three, in those rare days when your grid is at capacity and everybody's using their air conditioners or their heaters, then the data center agrees to dial back so that they don't create as much demand and pull on the grid. If they do those three things, there's a study that was just out of Lawrence Berkeley National Lab that shows that for every large data center, you could reduce power rates by 1 to 2%. So if you can reduce power rates and you can get the economic benefits, that is truly a win-win for a state like New Mexico.
And what could AI investment mean for local economies and workers?
Well, the AI investment ends up being a job creation through the construction of data centers. It ends up generating tax revenues because of the investment of data centers as well. And then it's going to transform local economies in terms of helping invigorate industries that may have been lagging or moribund or less competitive because it broadens the information revolution to sort of hit areas that were left behind. Very important.
And Dr. Mandel, how can residents encourage their leaders to prepare for AI-driven growth?
Well, the main thing is that the residents have to sort of let their leaders know that they're interested in growth as well as regulation, or maybe more interested in growth than regulation, because without growth, what will happen to our children? Okay. And very important to sort of make sure that the industries that were left behind get transformed by AI. And that's where our future is going.
And where can our viewers go for more information or read the full report?
To the website of the Progressive Policy Institute, which is progressivepolicy.org.
Dr. Mandel, Secretary Granholm, thanks so much for joining us today.
You bet, Abby. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Do you ever feel like the holidays are over, but you're still the one keeping everything in your head? There's new survey data that puts real numbers on that default parent pressure and what it's doing to moms with stress and burnout. So joining us is Wendee, USA Today Network Executive Editor of Entertainment, with takeaways from a new USA Today Peacock survey and some simple ways family can start sharing the mental load a little more. Welcome to the show, Wendee. How are you, my friend?
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
All right, for anyone who's hearing mental load and thinking, wait, what does that actually mean? How do you explain it in real life terms?
So that is everything that basically keeps the household running. All of that to-do list of, permission slips, lunch boxes being packed, where are the hats and gloves, creating all the holiday magic. That's the mental load that women are carrying around, making sure that everything gets done.
And your survey of 1,600 parents found some huge gaps in who's handling the day-to-day decisions. So what stood out most to you? And what do those numbers say about those who are carrying the weight at home?
Well, I think there were a couple of things. 8 in 10 women told us that they're the primary decision maker in their household, but also 64% that they said they are handling that day to day, packing the lunches, all of those daily tasks that really just somebody has to do it. It's falling to them. As a result, 34% of women told us they feel overwhelmed every single day. And another third of women told us that they feel that way several times a week. I think that's really concerning because when you think about the care and mental health of our kids who themselves may be struggling, how can we make sure they are in a good place if the people caring for them are really at their breaking point?
And the holidays, they might be over, but a lot of people feel like they're starting the new year already exhausted. What's a couple of practical, doable ways that families can reduce that mental load this week and without like turning everything into a fight?
Well, I think it's really important to not do it in those heated moments when you might feel tired or frustrated. Instead, see if you can set aside some time to have the conversation in a very non-judgmental way. Sit down and say, here's everything that we need to get done to have the life we want to have. And then think about who can take which portion of that. That way, it's a conversation and it's something that you can come back to time and time again. It also helps instill some habits. Also, be mindful of what works for your family. One of the things that women told us, 41% feel the pressure to be a perfect parent. Women also said that if something goes wrong, it's their responsibility to fix it, and they're the ones who get blamed. That's a big storyline that comes up in All Her Fault, and I think it's why it resonated so much with women. So knowing that those external factors are present and are so strong, that's why it's important to have the conversation of what's right for you and your family. It gives you a touchstone to come back to when you feel those pressures creeping in. And then you'll know this is what we have decided works for us.
And for some of the couples watching, what is like one starter conversation you recommend? Maybe something that could help reset expectations without sounding like there's blame or even criticism.
Well, I would say, the easy start is actually maybe not a conversation, but action. One of the things that women told us repeatedly is they don't want their partner to say, how can I help? What can I do? Because then they have the extra load of coming up with a to-do list, making sure that task gets done. Instead, look around, see what you can help with, and just dive right in.
All right. This survey also connects back to the storyline in Peacock's series All Her Fault. What about that show sparked such a big reaction, and why do you think so many moms saw it in themselves?
I think there are so many moments in this show where women see themselves. It starts in the very first episode when Sarah Snook, the lead character, goes to pick up her son Milo, and he's not at the play date. And people immediately point fingers at her of how could she not know the details of this play date? How could she make this mistake? It is all her fault. There are many other scenes in the show with Dakota Fanning's character of how she is trying to juggle her career and all of the duties for her child, and her partner is just not present. And he just thinks he needs some downtime. Her downtime is shopping and taking care of the house. And so she's not really getting a break at all. And these are themes that probably most moms have had in their friend groups that they're talking about a lot. Women in our survey said that they do turn to friends and family for help a lot, but in third place was the person that they probably should start with is their partner. So make sure you're having the conversations with your partner as well so that you can hopefully create some new habits and a little bit of change in your own household.
Wendee, I want to thank you for joining me today. If this conversation hits home, you got to pull your partner in for a quick, let's say, reset talk, maybe even 10 minutes, and decide who owns a few of the recurring weekly tasks. And if you want to dig deeper into the survey results and the bigger part of the conversation, you can read the USA Today coverage and stream All Her Fault. It's available now on Peacock. Wendee, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
From comedy to music to reality TV, Love and Hip Hop Miami has always been about big personalities and even bigger life moments. This season, familiar faces are stepping in very different chapters, both on and off camera. We caught up with Michael Blackson, Amada La Negra, and Miami legend Trick Daddy to talk growth, legacy, and what viewers can expect this season. Welcome to the show, you three.
Oh my God, I love you so much. This is so much fun. Let's do it.
Michael, fans are seeing a very personal chapter for you this season. Becoming a father again wasn't exactly part of the plan, but how has that changed your perspective right now?
You know what? Here's the thing. My youngest, prior to the two new babies, my youngest are twin boys that are 18 years old. I mean, I really felt like I was done. Felt like I was free now to, no more child support. I could just run the word and just do whatever I wanted to do. And then all of a sudden, this happened. It was nothing that was planned. It just happened. But the thing about the babies, every time that I pick them up and look at them, they put a smile on my face. They give you a reason to live longer. So babies are nothing but a blessing from God, and they encourage you to like live longer and work harder because you just want to see you want to watch them grow. So they've been a new bundle of joy in my life, and they are boys, and there's nothing like an African man giving birth to two new kings. So it's a great feeling. I'm not even going to front on it, even though it was nothing that I was looking forward to, I was looking forward to happening. But when it happened, it brought me a new life.
Amada, viewers have watched you grow for years, not just personally, but as a businesswoman and a mom. As this new season begins, where are you right now?
Thank you so much. Well, look, I have launched Eternal Beauty. Is doing very well. This collaboration that I did with this Mexican company called Sermats. Now we're putting out my second perfume called Revenge, because success is the best revenge. And that will be coming out soon as well. I continue to invest in real estate, continue to grow the legacy for my daughters. And every birthday, every October, I buy a new property, which I think is so important for the Black community to leave something for the next generation to come. I'm working on Desiguales, the talk show that I do Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. on Univision. I will be doing a movie next year. I'm already working with my acting coach to get those things together. I'm always looking to evolve and grow and take advantage of the wave while it's high. And obviously, I want people to continue watching Love and Hip Hop Miami, even though that I'm not always the proudest of my behavior or the stories that may come out. I think that the most important thing is that our lives are relatable to many people. I believe that there's a lot of lessons learned from watching this show. And yes, it's entertaining, but if you really pay attention and you look at the depth of the stories, there are many things that are very relatable to the people that watch. And on my behalf, the one thing I can tell all females, make sure to do your research. Make sure to do your research before you start dating anyone. Expose them, put pictures. Don't do it. But other than that, I'm doing very well.
Trick, you're already an icon in Miami, but this season people are seeing more of your personal life, a bit beyond the music, the business, the community work. What side of you are viewers getting now?
But I'm just gonna try to be myself. You know what I'm saying? Stay afloat. And I'm getting older now. So I opened up another restaurant in the Fort Lauderdale area in the Six Trunk neighborhood. And I'm trying to open up my breakfast spot because Sundays has a sister company affiliated with it called Blue Hen. So y'all be looking forward to the breakfast spot. And I'm just doing, I'm like Michael Black. I appreciate people like Michael Black. So he's trying to make America black again by bringing more kids into the, to the world. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to also do that without trying to bash anybody, without trying to do anything. Florida just turned blue. I just want y'all to know that. It's going to be a lot of changes. Nobody will be bamboozled. Nobody will be tricked and fooled no more. Florida just turned blue. During the government shutdown, me and my business partner, along with Reggie Leon of Miami Gardens, we fed all the federal workers who didn't get paid. We fed them every day, every chance we got, and we fed them for free, and they appreciate it. And all of us, we got to stick together because we got to live in this world together, man.
I want to thank you three for joining me today. New chapters, real growth, and no shortage of stories. Love and Hip Hop Miami returns with a brand new season, Tuesdays at 8 Eastern and Pacific on BET. And this one digs a little deeper. I want to thank you three for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
That's right.
Love you. Besito. Bye.
Ever watch a racing movie and think there's no way that could actually happen? That's exactly what F1 the movie set out to avoid, putting real racing logic behind every pass, every turn, and every close call. So joining us is Luciano Bacchetta, the film's driving sequence choreographer and a former Formula 2 champion who helped train the cast and design the racing so it felt authentic from the driver's seat out. Luciano, it's great to have you here with us. How are you?
Very well, thanks for having me.
When people hear racing choreography, they might picture something flashy, but for you, it starts with realism. What was your first priority when designing racing for F1 the movie?
It's exactly what you said, realism. So, every race in this movie, I just wanted to make sure that it would not interrupt the flow of a viewer. If you're watching it and you're racing, you'd be like, yep, that would happen, this would happen, that's legit. And that was a big part in choreographing the sequences. But the choreography was only possible if we have our two lead actors also driving and taking it on. So it started off with the training. We had to train them both for 4 months to be able to drive these cars, not just fast, but safely and also have the capacity to take on the quite complicated choreography that we would come up with.
You trained Brad Pitt and Damson Idris to actually drive these cars. What surprised you most about how they adapted once they got out of the simulator and onto the actual track?
Yeah, I mean, it was a process. What surprised me is how quickly they took it on, because, you know, most racing drivers have 10 years to build up to driving these cars, or 15 years from when they start go-karts. We had 4 months. And so it was really intense and a lot of information being thrown at them. And also they had to consider the fact that they're also making a movie. You know, they've got to look at the script and they've got dialogue scenes and other stuff to worry about. So for them, it was so full on, but they really immersed themselves into the process of becoming racing drivers, which is what it was. You know, we weren't just teaching them to drive, we were teaching them to become racing drivers, down to the point of how they behave in the garage, how do you put your helmet on, how do you put your balaclava on, all those small details. And it all went into creating an environment for them to drive in that they belonged in and they felt comfortable in. And the more comfortable they felt, the more spare capacity they had in their minds to take on what we were throwing at them with choreography. So yeah, it was a lot. It was fun, and there was some real fun times in rehearsal when we were going wheel to wheel with, you know, I'd be wheel to wheel with Brad, and we were having challenges like he had to keep me behind with no rules, and he could, you know, he could squeeze me on the grass if he wanted to, and he did. So yeah, it was very fun.
This film was shot during real Grand Prix weekends with very limited time to get the shots. How much planning went into making sure every racing moment served the story and made sense to real fans, and what challenges did that provide?
So, you know, like you said, we would sometimes have only 10 minutes or a 15-minute window on a Formula One weekend. So it meant that we had to prepare so much before those sessions. So as a stunt team, we would simulate the sequences. We'd go on our simulators with Craig, with the other drivers, and we'd drive what we were proposing to do, what the script called for. We'd show it to Joe Kosinski, our director. He'd come back with tweaks. We'd come up with proposals for better ideas. So before we even got to the shoot day or the race weekend, we'd already driven it. And Brad and Damson would jump in on that as well. So they drive the sequences before we get there. So we were all prepared before we got to shoot day with what we were going to do on track. So then when we went out there, you know, we had two-way radios, we talk, but we were so comfortable. You know, we just went out there and we did it straight away, which was very rewarding, but also challenging, because sometimes a 10-minute window would get cut down to 7 minutes if there was an incident in the session before. So we always had curveballs and we always had to get around them, but as a team, we would plan for these hurdles and come up with contingencies.
Lewis Hamilton was also closely involved in shaping how the racing looked and felt. How did this input add to the authenticity of those sequences?
Lewis's input was so wide-ranging, you know, from sound, you know, making sure that the cars sounded correct and the correct gears were being used, and you could hear elements that only he would be able to give input in from his experience driving all the time, but also allowing us, you know, Lewis was a huge part in having Formula One on board and even allowing us to drive on these Formula One weekends and create the realistic shots. So, you know, he was involved in the script. Like it was just so wide ranging to have Lewis, and you know, the movie would not have been possible without his input.
Luciano, I want to thank you for joining me today. F1 the movie is streaming now on Apple TV, and if you want to see what real racing feels like from inside the cockpit, this one's worth a watch. Thanks again for joining me today.
Thanks very much. Thank you for having me.
The Housemaid is one of those thrillers where everything looks perfect on the surface, but then it just like slowly unravels. It's based on the best-selling novel that stars Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried in a story filled with secrets, power, and unexpected twists. Behind the camera is director Paul Feig, bringing his signature style to a dark, psychological ride that keeps audiences guessing. Paul, it's great to have you here with us. How are you, my friend?
Dan, I'm great. On a Monday morning, I've never been better.
All right, so this story pulls people in fast and keeps kind of like flipping expectations. What was it about The Housemaid that made you want to tell this story on the screen?
Well, I mean, the book is so good. You know, the source material is there, and I'm always looking for, especially in the thriller genre, ones that have just big twists and turns that you don't see coming. And then once you get one twist, you get another twist, and then you get another twist. And, Frida McFadden's book is just so good. There's a reason it's been on the bestseller list for 2 years now. And so it just seemed like it was just too delicious to not bring to the big screen.
And you've kind of described this movie as almost a Nancy Meyers movie gone wrong.
Yes.
How did that idea shape the look and the tone of this film?
Well, I mean, exactly what it sounds like. I wanted Millie, the character of Millie, which is played by Sydney Sweeney, to come into this world that just on the outside looks like the perfect situation. The house is all cream colored and beautiful, and everything is perfectly ordered. And it feels like for a girl who was living in her car just, at the time, to come into this situation would be fantastic. Because it's a real, the whole book is really a statement about, like, are we making judgments on just facades, and should we dig a little deeper? You don't want to distrust everybody, but at the same time, there's a lot of con people out there these days. So you want to delve a little deeper before you give the stamp of approval to anybody.
And the power dynamics in the story are just constantly shifting. How did you approach keeping the audience guessing on, I guess, who to trust?
Yeah, well, I mean, we had to kind of really hide things. So, because there's such big turns, and we kind of make you root for things that later on you'll find out you probably shouldn't be rooting for. And it was just really getting my cast, who are so amazing, to just play very real into these things so that you don't see what lies beneath any of them, because everyone's got a really big secret.
And Sydney Sweeney, Amanda Seyfried, they both play characters with a lot of going on beneath the surface. What stood out to you about the performances as pretty much everything starts to unravel?
Well, I mean, just the pivot that they made. Sydney had to kind of play very, kind of naive and innocent until you kind of find out her backstory. And then with Amanda, it was we just had a blast kind of letting her just be sort of all over the place, because, Nina, that character that she plays, is very unpredictable, and it keeps Millie off her game. So that was really fun. And then Brandon Sklenar playing the perfect husband. He just is wonderful, and him from other movies where he plays this guy. But then, to get to play with that was fun too. But no spoilers.
Oh, of course. This movie feels like it's kind of designed to be a social watch, like either with an audience or with a group of friends. Why do you think that's important for the story?
Oh, well, first of all, movies, we need people back in movie theaters. It's fun to watch a movie by yourself on streaming, but there's nothing like that group experience. And what we've been finding with this movie is people are going in there with groups. And I mean, I've sat in the million audiences now with this movie, and they're cheering and they're screaming and they're talking back to the screen, and they're just having a great time. It's very interactive. And I think with a movie like this, with all these twists and turns, because I'm a comedy guy, I've done Bridesmaids and all these things. Everything I do is engineered to get a vocal response out of an audience. So if you're there with your friends, you're just going to have a great time just looking at each other and saying, "Oh my gosh," and and talking to the screen and just going nuts.
Paul Feig, I'm a super fan, and you are a hero to me. The Housemaid is now playing in theaters nationwide. If you're in the mood for a smart, twisty thriller that keeps the surprises coming, this one is worth seeing on the big screen. Paul, I want to thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you so much. And everybody, please go. You're going to have a great time.
Thank you for tuning in and checking out New Mexico Rising. If you want to be on our show, email us at newmexicorising@gmail.com or visit our website at newmexicorising.com. Be sure to follow us on social media. That's at New Mexico Rising on Instagram and Facebook. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at New Mexico Rising. That was our show, New Mexico Rising. You take care, and we'll see you next week.